You're just one person away from changing
Oh my gosh,
the game. Isn't that crazy to think?
Literally just one person away. You never know who you're meeting or how they could help you, how you could even be helping another person and changing their life, answering their prayers. So I guess just like moving with an open heart and like pure intentions and always just being purposeful in everything that we do.
Welcome to Ask Alexis, the space where we dive deep into all things real estate, business, life, and fitness. And I can't wait to bring you even more value. Now, let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I have an honor. I have been trying to get her on this podcast for a while. She is the true definition of a Las Vegas woman business entrepreneur. The amount of things that she has done is insane. Things that I'm sure that you've seen on TikTok, Instagram, and you see these gurus saying that it's possible. Well, she's living proof that it's possible. So let's dive into Jana. Jana, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's such an honor.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell the viewers who you are and how'd you get to Vegas?
Well, I'm Jana McGibney, as she mentioned, and I am a serial entrepreneur. I mainly focus on real estate investments. I'm really big on philanthropy and giving back into the community. My mission is to make a difference, really just want to make a positive impact everywhere I go, be able to help people along the way. And that is how I ended up here in Vegas on my entrepreneurship journey, just seeking to expand, to grow, to level up, be around like-minded individuals. And I mean, we're surrounded by so much opportunity here in Las Vegas. So it's the perfect place to be. People from all over the world coming for opportunities to be able to expand and change their lives and get to the next level. So we're a giant melting pot, and the world of possibilities are definitely here. What was your first entrepreneur-like business in the state of Las Vegas? Well, I actually moved here 2 days before the COVID shutdown. And so it was kind of crazy. I didn't really know what I was going to do. I initially was coming out here for my modeling. I was traveling all over the place. But with COVID, it shut everything down. I wasn't able to go do my photo shoots, go walk the runway. So I was like, what am I going to do? And so that is actually what started my entrepreneurship journey. And I started trading. So I started learning like high frequency trading, Forex, getting really big into crypto. And then I started teaching other people how to do the same. Essentially, I was a part of like I found out it was like a pyramid scheme, essentially. Right. So the setup was nice at first, but I was working, and it was just based off of the individual's work ethic. And as soon as they would fall off, then I would lose everything that I worked towards. It's just from one person coming out of my leadership. So I figured out that that's not really what I was interested in. Of course, I wanted to help. I wanted to make a difference. Not everyone was getting the promised results. Of course, it does work, but there's a lot to it. So then I just, I started diving into other things, and that's kind of how I am where I am now.
And one of the things that you do is what got me into real estate. And I remember the first time that I had called you, and I remember our conversation very well. And I was like, oh my gosh, she does rental arbitration.
Yes.
I knew from the moment like how you had worded it, and I was like, this is exactly what she does. I need to know more about this lady. How did you start that? And what is rental arbitration for those viewers that may not know?
Yeah, so rental arbitration is essentially I am getting a property from a property owner or a property manager, signing a lease, and then subletting it out and keeping the profits. So getting something for one price, selling it for a higher price, and obviously adding value in between. So I'm furnishing up the places, providing some sort of experience, and providing a lot more flexibility than a traditional owner or property manager would. So a mix of Airbnb, short-term rentals. I'm doing the mid-term rentals, 30-plus day. Got into the room rentals recently, and then event spaces as well. And the way that I actually got into that was I wanted to start off a luxury car rental company, so I had established my EIN, I had my LLC, got my DUNS number, went to the bank, went to go get funding. I'm seeing all of these different videos on Instagram and TikTok about how you could get $50,000 no-doc loans and be able to get approved for business funding and like get started. So that's kind of what I rolled with. I did all my research. I'm like, okay, great, like, let's do it. I was fully prepared, go in the bank. Long and behold, it's definitely a little bit more complicated than what those gurus make it seem to be. But I ended up getting denied for the loan. Essentially, the company wasn't structured to be able to receive such a large lump sum of money in such a short period of time within being established. But I knew that I was ready to start now. Like, I was already fully prepared. I wanted to start a business, and I didn't want to wait. So I ended up converting into the rental arbitrage with short-term rentals. I did some more research after I had gotten let down. I'm like, okay, let me pivot and see what else there is that I could do. So I started looking into Airbnb, short-term rentals, and reached out to some owners. Got an approval to be able to do corporate lease and sublet, and then I got my first Airbnb property, and that was about 2.5, almost 3 years ago now.
Oh my goodness. Do you still have that current one?
I do not, no. I got rid of it about 1.5 years ago.
And you're pretty good at knowing when a property just no longer is worth its weight in problems, right? Whereas other, investors, sometimes they just don't know when to let go of something that's no longer providing for them.
Right.
How do you have that mindset to be able to kind of look at your portfolio and see, like, this one just isn't performing the way that I want it to, and then let it go?
I mean, essentially, it really is a numbers game. And as you know, being in real estate, there is constantly changing trends. The trends are constantly changing. The market and the demand might shift, and you do have to be able to pivot and remain creative and open-minded on the different strategies, or just have a backup plan so that you don't end up in a huge negative situation. So I really just through experience. Really just through experience. I've definitely lost tens of thousands of dollars on multiple properties before. And then I've also profited that. So it really is just coming to know when you're seeing one of those trends coming in, when you need to make some changes, knowing those changes that you need to make, pivoting and moving fast. And then whenever you see that those other strategies aren't working, then it's just time to switch it up, and get out of it, get into a different investment. And that's really just how it is. But there's some things that you just have to hold, and then there's other times where it's like, okay, just use your discernment and make a shift whenever necessary.
No, I love that. And you're absolutely right on that. Like, to be able to know when enough is enough and to just be able to look at it as a business. And I commend you for even being able to say that you have taken, losses of a substantial amount of money, right? Because the gurus that are on TikTok or Instagram, they'd never, ever highlight the negative. Well, then they would be out of business. Nobody would want to do something that can come with this much risk, right? Because actually what you do is it can be risky, because ultimately you're the one that's responsible for the bill if that property is rented out or not. Right. So you're taking on that risk, even with furnishings and things like that. And if you're not furnishing it correctly, or you don't know your numbers correctly, like, this is something that you could easily put a whole bunch of capital in and then lose it all because you don't know what you're doing. And then, like, there's success in it, obviously. Like, you have had great success. But even with somebody that is experienced, like, uncertain times happen. And luckily, I mean, you're smart enough to be able to recognize those patterns and then take that loss but continue onwards. Like, that loss really wasn't so much of a loss. It was more of a lesson to kind of get you to that next spot, right?
Yeah, always, for sure. And that's how I ended up getting into these different avenues, is really just trial and error, understanding that there are going to be these changes and there's, unexpected circumstances that do come up. And if you're not willing or prepared to handle those situations when they arise, it really could be the end of your business, or it could be a lesson learned and you end up being in a much better position, having more wisdom and more experience, and it really just getting you further along. So yeah, it's definitely been helpful. Being quick with my feet and keeping an open mind, being resourceful with the different strategies that I've implemented for sure. Because, yeah, the risk is crazy. But, I mean, it is less risk than purchasing a home. There's so many pros and cons to owning the real estate versus not owning the real estate. Because eventually that is the goal, to own real estate. You have a lot more leverage. The profit margins are higher. But there is more risk associated if you are doing something along the lines of what I'm doing in this realm of business. Because essentially with the LLC, I mean, if it didn't work, if you wanted to, you could just drop and liquidate like the whole LLC and have nothing to do with it. Except for a contract, but that could easily be voided out if necessary. Obviously, that's not the end goal, but
no, it's not ideal. No, definitely
not ideal
for the homeowner. In that instance. But yeah, you brought up a really good point too, right? Because in theory, in the way that you're doing this business, which is obviously all cash flow, right? Because any other cash is typically going to the homeowner because you're paying their equity, right? You're making sure that their bill is paid in that sense. But your exit strategy is a lot simpler, right? Like if you are upside down on a property that you purchased and you're losing money every month and you have to get rid of this property, well, you may not be able to sell it for a profit, right? Or even if you try to pivot and then do a long-term rental, well, with the way that the market has been, people aren't going to really cash flow with interest rates at where they've been sitting, where people's mortgage payments are. I mean, especially in our valley, if you were to go and purchase a property right now and even put a down payment of 20%, you're not going to cash flow on a property unless you're in a
long-term game.
Yeah, it's a long-term game, most definitely. Unless you're able to get into one of these new build interest rates that are a lot lower. Like if you're able to get into the 3s or 4s, then there's a possibility for you to at least cash flow a couple $100s. But other than that, we're sitting at really high elevated levels on both sides of the spectrum. So cash flow just really isn't there. But it is good to own real estate because there's benefits that come to it, right? Like
exactly,
there are tax benefits. You can accelerate the depreciation on the home. So it's just the way that you're structuring it. But there's structures to your leases as well that, I mean, there's so many incentives to doing like short-term rentals and things like that in terms of like tax wise and running it as a business. How did you navigate all that? Have you done all of this on your own, or have you had a coach or a partner? Or
essentially I've done it all on my own.
That's
just getting
impressive.
it started into where it is now. My partner has come alongside me and does help with certain aspects of the business. But as far as getting everything started, getting into the position on where it is now and continuing to scale, grow, maintain, etc., essentially it's all just myself, and then utilizing the different systems that I've put in place to automate, and then just delegating whatever is not automated. For instance, different cleanings. But I mean, yeah, besides that, it's pretty self-sustaining.
I love that. What else do you do besides rentals in the Valley?
Honestly, it's like rentals on rentals on rentals, just all different kinds of rentals. Because as I had shared with you before, initially when I was going to start my first company, it was going to be a luxury car rental company, but then it had failed, and I decided to pivot. Ended up going in with rental arbitrage, starting Lux Escape Rentals. But now I've circled back, and my partner and I have developed a new company, OmniLux Rentals, which is, all things luxury with the vehicle rentals. So we have a variety of different vehicle rentals that are available, and I could also leverage that and advertise to my...
Tie them together.
Yeah, like the individuals that are renting the Airbnbs or the events, etc. I could also rent out the cars to them. But yeah, those are the two biggest things: is Lux Escape Rentals with properties, OmniLux Rentals with our vehicles, and then we do have a clothing brand, Thoughts Become Reality. I mean, exactly what it sounds like. Our thoughts are so powerful. They could create our reality, and our mind is a garden, our thoughts are the seeds, and we could grow gardens or we could grow weeds. It really just depends on our perspective. It shifts and creates, our reality. So that's something, that we're passionate about, a mission, and just wanting to encourage, uplift other individuals and let them know how powerful they truly are. So we're working on growing that, expanding our, I am so sorry.
Okay.
Expanding just everything and being able to impact more people. But yeah, that's pretty much our main focuses at the moment. And then other things are being developed and in the works, but we have some patents pending and manufacturers building our products right now. It's kind of hush hush until everything hits the floor. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love that you have really just taken all of the opportunities that life has to give to us, right? And you don't take the inconveniences that do happen in business and stray away from what can be a really good thing. And if you push onwards, and you have always had such a positive mindset into it. You're oh, I'll just figure it out. And then you very much do, right? You don't drown in your sorrows, which
right.
It's easy to. I mean, especially to have properties that do go under and you have to fork out the bill, and it's not so much that you're cash bleeding from that property. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that could also lead to other things in your businesses getting taken from, right? So one domino can take the entire thing out if you if you're not strategic about how you're structuring your business.
Staying on top of everything and making sure that you're analyzing on, a deeper level than just the surface, so that you can determine whatever the triggers are of certain things. If there's something that's operating a little bit slower than usual, you're not getting the same level of demand, or income or revenue has slowed down, really just diving deep, staying on top of those things, because it can definitely collectively just just
it just keeps on
crazy.
Just snowballs all the way down, takes out your entire
it could take
kingdom.
out your everything. But that's really why it's so important, just to have structure, to have certain things in place, and scaling has helped me so much, because if it was just one or two properties, there's scenarios that could have completely wiped me out. But since I put myself in the position where I have leverage with multiple different properties or revenue streams, it's put me in a position where I have a lot more flexibility. Whenever my investments are going up or down, I'm able to move more freely with more confidence, with those different streams of revenue coming in, for sure.
How quickly did it take you to start scaling? What did scaling look like for you? Did you do it fast? Did you do it?
The first 6 months to a year, I kind of took it easy. I was just getting the hang of everything,
right.
Building out my systems, starting to automate, just getting the structure in line. All the infrastructure was built, and that's when I started expanding pretty rapidly, because the demand just kept growing. I couldn't keep up with it.
What a good problem to have.
Yeah, it just kept growing, and I was like, okay, there's so much money that's being left on the table, and people that I could actually serve, that I could be helping. So I ended up getting a few more properties. After the first year, I pretty much tripled or quadrupled on the second year.
Wow, that's insane.
And then now I'm at 12 properties right now.
12.
Yeah, and it's
12
been 2.5
own.
years that I do not own. Yeah.
Oh my
and
gosh.
6 figures every couple months that's coming in just in profit alone. Haven't quite hit the 7-figure mark, but we're working on it. But yeah, so it's definitely just continued to expand, and then I just use the profit from each property to continue to reinvest into, future investments, getting more properties, getting more vehicles, whatever it may be, to continue to grow and expand the fleet. Because the more properties I have, it's really not more work. Now
because you built a system.
The system and everything's already in place. Is pretty much automated. So just adding another one to the fleet. Yeah.
Yeah. Plug and play. That's because you've done so well on building that. You knew that you needed systems in place to be able to run this ideally. and like you're doing such a great service to not only yourself but to even the clients as well, and I'm sure your staff, right? Because you have to have staff. What does your staff look like?
It's actually pretty light. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty simple. So like I said, everything's pretty much automated and then I delegate the rest. But the only thing that I really need to delegate as far as the Airbnb short-term rentals aspect is having a cleaner. So I do have 4 apartments in one complex that's actually 5 minutes down the street from my house. Excuse me. So I've been essentially just going with my partner, cleaning that up myself because I save about $3,000 to $4,000 a month on cleanings, just cleaning it myself. And the apartments are super quick. But anytime I have an event or something that I want to do, I just don't feel like cleaning. I'm out of town. I just have cleaners that are basically on call. They're ready. They're already trained, prepared to
for
be able to
short-term
take on
rentals.
The job. Yeah,
they're
to do
tailored.
turnovers.
Yeah, to do those.
Yeah, and so they have availability anywhere between 11 and 3, which is my check-in or check-out and check-in windows.
Right.
And then anytime I need them, they just hop in, clean, get everything prepared, and that's pretty much about it. I mean, there's definitely different people that you could utilize within your infrastructure, but it's not necessary. Like CPAs, accountants, having like a lawyer team is always important or just handy to have on the side.
Right.
Especially once I started getting into the room rentals and dealing with actual tenants. Because then it's not just short-term vacation rentals. I'm an actual landlord now. And then events, there's different contracts and things like that that are in place. So it's always nice to have those people on your team, but they're not staff that I have working for me. They're just people that are on my team on the
in your
sideline.
corner.
Exactly. Or, realtors. Like you've helped me locate different properties. So there's different tools.
Yeah, different avatars to kind of help, but we're a community, and that's what makes this is why I love real estate, because of how many opportunities that people can showcase themselves, and really, like, we're all valuable to making this piece of this puzzle to be a beautiful picture, right?
We all play our part. There's so much beauty in collaboration. We could get so much more done instead of us competing. We can't only get so much done on our own, but we could really build an empire, an entire community if we would come together, unite, and just help one another, see how we could add value to each other, support one another. What is your needs? How could I help you? How could I serve you? And if you look at it in that way, I mean, everyone's going to win. Everyone's going to eat as long as everyone's looking out for each other, being genuine, and just recognizing the different strengths that we have as individuals and how we can utilize those things to, build a house. So, yeah, it's definitely just community and being intentional, being resourceful, always adding value, and just being ready. But, yeah, other than that, it's pretty much just like a one-man show. Or, my partner and I. But, yeah, it's definitely nice to be able to have a team on deck of people that you can rely on to continue to grow. That's where I get a lot of my different event inquiries now, or like different potential tenants that are needing a room for rent. I get a lot of word of mouth and referrals.
From people.
Yeah.
People within the community, relationships with.
Social media, people that have heard of me or personally met and interacted with me. So, yeah, it goes a long way just dealing with people and building relationships. Essentially, that's probably the most important thing towards the journey of success, is how many people can you actually connect with and make an impact towards, and then it just continues to grow from there.
And you're just one person away from changing
the game.
Isn't
I know,
that crazy
right?
to
Literally
think?
just one person away. You never know who you're meeting or how they could help you, how you could even be helping another person and changing their life, answering their prayers. So I guess just like moving with an open heart and like pure intentions, and always just being purposeful in everything that we do.
I love it. I have so many questions to ask you, and I'm a little bit scattered, but I'm not gonna. I'll just bring you back. But why would an owner not do this themselves? Why would they use somebody like you in place of, like, why wouldn't one of your landlords or owners choose to use you instead of doing it themselves?
That is honestly a really good question, because if I was an owner, I'd definitely be utilizing the different strategies that I've learned myself, but I think most people just don't know about it. They're not familiar with it. It seems like a lot more work for them, or, just the risk associated. If they're not too familiar with the space, they've just heard whatever has been said, and more so it's the negative aspects, or, there's people partying and crazy things, your house is going to get broken, different things broken or stolen. But honestly, 99% of my customers that come in, they take such great care of the space. They're very kind, respectful, follow the rules, and I come in and essentially, like, it's just standard cleaning. Like, there's nothing trashed or anything like that. So that's one thing that I could definitely appreciate. But I guess it's just whatever they've seen or whatever they've heard. Maybe it's the amount of time that they have or attention to, dealing with certain things. Because I am also a co-host, so I have people that have reached out to me. They just don't have the time. Maybe they have multiple properties, or they want to be able to drive in that revenue, but they have other things going on, or they don't want to dive into that space. They don't even want to have to worry about it. So that's kind of where I come in, is I'm able to take that position for the landlord. They just get to sit back, relax, and collect a check every single month. I take care of everything. So, I'm doing the marketing, I'm doing the managing, I'm maintaining everything, making sure the home stays in good condition, everything's insured, they're getting paid on time every single month. They don't have to worry about talking to different customers or clients or handling the cleaning or turning things over. All they worry about is, essentially nothing, because I'm literally just paying
you're there.
them. Yeah, there's nothing to worry about if I'm there.
I am like, you sold me. If I had a house right now, I'd be like, Janae, I want you to short-term rent it.
And essentially, I can make them, like, if I go in a partnership, because there's two different things that I've done. I've signed a corporate lease with an owner or a property manager, and it's a set price. I just pay them that set price every single month, and then, of course, I'm subletting it out and then keeping the remaining profits from the difference of the rent paid to the owner and then whatever else revenue I've actually brought in for the month. And then there's other scenarios where it's more like a co-host or a management solution, where I am getting a percentage of the revenue that's brought in. So some of those owners are actually making significantly more than they would on traditional renters, because a house, you could bring in an average of like $8,000 to $15,000 a month, depending on the type of house, of course, the area, the dynamics, who you're serving, that all varies.
But
there's
price,
a lot more potential for them to be able to make more. There might be months that are a little bit less, but they understand that they are basing their revenue on the market and the level of bookings that are coming in, et cetera. So there's different peak seasons. So there's different positions and ways to do it, where I could just take it off of the owner and they just get to sit back, relax, while I take care of everything else. They could provide me an opportunity to be able to, essentially I'm the middleman because I don't own a property, but I'm able to utilize their property to profit while they're also making a stable income.
That's insane. Everybody wins in that scenario. And you could eventually not win, right, if something were to happen. But the owner is still getting paid at the end of the day. So, in their shoes and their perspective, it's kind of a win-win.
Whether it's booked or not, they're still getting paid. Yeah. Like I said, there's been scenarios where I lost money. I had a new resort-style property that I ended up getting. It was 7 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. It was absolutely beautiful. I was fixed on the fact that it was going to be successful. Everything was going to be great. But initially, I had entered the lease agreement in the winter, which was a slow season, especially for the type of property that I was providing.
Right.
So it's more so like a vacation property. Most people are probably coming towards the summer or different holidays.
Spring, yeah.
Yeah, and I had gotten it towards the winter. So when I had first started off, I was actually going to be doing midterm and pad splits, so renting out the rooms, which I've found has been very successful for me. So I had the perfect layout. Didn't really end up working out the way that I had planned. So in that scenario, I spoke with the landlord, got the permission to do short-term instead of the midterm 30-plus day rentals. To corporate professionals, I decided to do the 30-day vacation rentals, more to families, people coming in traveling. And that actually started going pretty good. But within that time period, within just a few months before I had made that pivot, I had lost $40,000 on that property alone. And that's just for me, paying rents and not getting any revenue that's being drove in. I was still responsible to upkeep my end of the agreement and pay the owner rent on time every month, even though it was completely vacant. But then I pivoted. I should have done it sooner. But that's that discernment and being able to move quickly with our decisions. Yeah, you got to be quick on your feet with business.
Or that would have drowned you. Or not drowned you, but it would have took more from you. I turned it
around real quick. We ended up doing short-term rental Airbnb, and then it ended up being booked out like pretty high occupancy, right around 80%.
Oh, that's good.
So we turned some things around, and yeah, that worked. And then thankfully I had other properties to rely on the different revenue that was coming in to uphold my business, because that was pretty significant.
That's insane. Yeah. There's so many other questions that I want to ask you, but I know we're short on time, but what's one thing that you would tell younger Janae? One piece of advice that you can leave the audience with?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I haven't thought of that. I'm like, I have to think on that. What is one thing that I would have asked or told my younger self?
Mm-hmm. You go back at her, tell her right now, what was younger Janae doing and what would she have been concerned about?
One thing that I would tell my younger self is just to never give up, keep going, stay focused, and understand the power of your thoughts. Our thoughts are so powerful. Our mind is a garden, our thoughts are the seeds. We could grow gardens or we could grow weeds. So just stay so focused, stay tapped in. Don't get distracted with other things that don't matter. Mm-hmm. Don't worry about other people's opinions or whatever they think of your ideas. Just keep going. You know how many times there's been where people told me, oh, that's not going to work, or that's crazy, or like, I can't believe you're doing that. And I did it anyways, and it turned out to be successful. Thing. And now people are asking me, oh my gosh, how'd you get to where you are? What are you doing? How'd you do that? Because I didn't give up, and I believed in myself and the vision that I had. If we have a vision or something that's placed in our heart and our mind, I really solely believe that vision was planted in our hearts for a reason. Like, God gave us that vision to fulfill. And if it's in our heads, if it's in our minds, if we're able to conceive it, we're certainly able to achieve it. So just believe in the power of your thoughts and go after anything that you want. That dream life that you have, mm-hmm. those desires, like, just do it. Because the worst that you could do is, like, just end up a little bit closer to your end goal, and you're a lot further than where you were when you started. Even if you didn't hit your desired goal, you're closer.
Right? You're not where you started off at.
Exactly. Just do it. There's so many times where we procrastinate or hold ourselves back because of internal doubt or just feeling like we're not ready, we're not equipped, maybe we don't have what it takes. Mm-hmm. But then the moment that you do it and you just get started, like, things just start to unroll. Even you with your podcast, like, just simply thinking about something and then turning it into a reality. And look at, now you have me here.
Yeah.
And so many other great individuals that you've been able to have the opportunity to have conversations with, that you're able to share with the world. And you don't know how that's going to impact someone just because you chose to follow your dream and do what was on your heart, So that's what I would tell myself, is just...
don't make me cry.
Yeah, just believe in yourself, just believe in yourself.
No, I love that. Anybody that is in Vegas and they're looking for short-term, midterm, maybe you have a rental here that's not doing so well, or you have a long-term rental and maybe you want to see what other avenues you can go, what other revenue can you bring up, I would reach out to Janae over here. She has a pretty solid plan going on. Or if you want to drive around a nice luxury vehicle, she also has those as well. Or it could be a package deal. You can do a short-term rental, get the car. Mm-hmm. It doesn't get any better than that.
Or if you want to learn how to do it yourself, feel free, reach out. I'm here to help. I can teach you how to do this very same thing. So whether I'm serving you, providing you the service, or I'm simply teaching you how to be able to do it yourself, I'm here to help. I'd be happy to provide value wherever you see fit.
Where can we find you?
My Instagram is Janae McGibney, JANAE MCGIBONEY, and that's on Instagram and Facebook. OmniLux rentals for our vehicles and Lux Escape rentals for the house rentals.
I love it. I love it. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. And if you are an investor here in Las Vegas or somebody that's doing a service, please reach out to me. Let's get you here on the podcast. Let's showcase you, what you do to the community and why you do it for the community.
I love that. Thank you so much for having me. This was so awesome.
I love this. This one was good. Welcome to Ask Alexis, the space where we dive deep into all things real estate, business, life, and fitness. And I can't wait to bring you even more value. Now, let's get started.